I've been itching to get behind the wheel on the 4K Extreme Drive, and I couldn't have asked for a better sector to start off with. Because I get to drive a car I've never driven before on roads I've never driven before. So it's all going to be fresh and new to me. And as you can see, I'm going to be driving the Hyundai Exter, which is perfect because I'm starting up here in beautiful Guwahati, driving all the way down the east coast to Kanyakumari, passing through all sorts of congested little towns and cities along the way, where the compact footprint of the Exter should make it perfect for slicing through all that traffic. And it has this magic trick where it manages to be big and roomy on the inside, despite this compact footprint on the outside. So it should be tons of fun. First though, I get to enjoy beautiful Assam on the way to my first overnight halt in Siliguri. So let's get going. When you consider the scale and diversity of a country like ours, it's a wonder that there's anything that can link all four corners together. But as surprising as it may seem, there are a few such things that do bring India together. And one of the biggest of them all is chai. Our love for tea is something that transcends borders of geography and language, and you'll be able to get yourself a nice hot cup of chai anywhere in the country. In fact, our tryst with tea goes beyond even our own borders. We're one of the largest producers of tea, not only in terms of volume, but also variety. And the leaves that get plucked here at the beautiful green plantations of Assam make their way to all corners of the world and are highly regarded for their quality and flavor. It's day 2 on the road for me today, and while I might not be up in the hills anymore, I'm still being treated to some stunning views, as you can see here. Yesterday, for the most part, my route ran parallel to the Brahmaputra river. What you see here today is the Ganga, because my destination for the day is Kolkata. Now that I've crossed the chicken neck at Siliguri, we're getting deeper and deeper back into mainland India, which means population's getting denser and traffic's getting heavier. There's no problem though, because the Exter's making light work of it. A quick tap on the accelerator pedal and I can squeeze into the gaps I want to be in. It feels quite nimble and agile at these speeds, and I can place the car exactly where I want it. And of course the journey is that much more enjoyable because I know what's waiting for me at the other end. Delicious Kolkata food. So, happy days. No matter how many years slip by, Kolkata has a way of always feeling stuck in time. And from behind the wheel, that's most apparent in two things. One is the sheer number of ambassadors still on these roads. And the second is when you're driving across this, the iconic Howrah Bridge. On this drive, we've seen some of the newest, most cutting-edge road projects and bridges in the country. And to contrast those against the enduring charm of this 81-year-old architectural icon is really quite interesting. 26,500 tons of steel went into building this bridge, but there are no nuts and bolts here. The entire bridge is riveted together, a feat of engineering precision. A large chunk of that steel was supposed to come from England, but then World War II broke out and most of it was diverted towards the war effort. But the lack of steel and the threat of attack did not deter us. We simply sourced the remaining 23,500 tons from right here in India. In fact, we even developed India's very first high-tensile steel specifically for this bridge. So it was as much a marvel of its time as, say, the Atal Setu is in Mumbai today. I rounded out my morning in typical Kolkata fashion, checking out the archaic trams that still ply these streets while enjoying some delicious mishti doi. And then it was back on the road towards Bhubaneswar, where a special sight awaited me the following morning. We've already been witness to some breathtaking natural beauty over the course of this drive, but India is such a vast nation that we've still barely even scratched the surface of it. Today, it's my turn to be taking in some great views, and I'm doing it here at the stunning Chilka Lake. It's home to everything from flamingos and other migratory birds to dolphins and all sorts of fish. A large barrier beach means that this is technically a lagoon or a backwater, and the salinity level across Chilka Lake varies. Up north, you've got inland rivers flowing in, bringing fresh water and nutritious silt, whereas further south, tidal influx from the ocean means more salt water. And this unique mix of conditions means that the lake can support a large and diverse ecosystem, as we found out over the course of visiting the various islands that dot the lake and the fisher folk that inhabit them. It's day 5 on the road for me now, and I'm making cracking progress actually. I'm already more than halfway to Kanyakumari. And part of the reason for that cracking progress is the road I'm on. The NH16, which is the highway I've been on for the last 3 days now, is part of the nationwide highway network that we all know as the Golden Quadrilateral. We're talking almost 6,000 kilometers of minimum 4-lane highway connecting some of the most important cities in India. That makes this not only the largest highway network in the country, but also the 5th largest in the world. So all that's left for me to do now is slot this slick shifting gearbox into 5th and enjoy the cruise. The following morning, the sun rose over the beautiful seaside city of Visakhapatnam. Perched on the east coast, it's one of the major shipbuilding hubs in India. But funnily enough, I witnessed not the birthing of a ship, but the rebirthing of one. What you see here is a cargo ship that ran aground on a beach in Vizag a few years ago. And usually this would mark the end of a ship's life and it would probably be scrapped. But in this case, the decision was made to convert this shipwreck into a floating restaurant, which is a process that was still underway when I went to check it out. Over the next couple of days, I continued driving south along the coast, passing through the beautiful city of Vijayawada, the cultural capital of Andhra Pradesh, before then heading to Chennai, which meant taking the extra back home to where it was born, the Hyundai factory in Sriperumbudur, just outside Chennai, before finally setting course for Kanyakumari. But since I was now in the heart of Tamil Nadu, there was one thing that absolutely had to be done. This neck of the woods is famous for its flavor-packed biryani, and few do it better than Dindigul Thalapakatti. Today, the biryani giant boasts a chain of over 100 restaurants on 3 different continents, but it can trace its roots back to a single 4-seater joint back in the 1950s. It was a special treat to not only be able to eat at one of Thalapakatti's restaurants, but also drive past the actual town of Dindigul where this incredible story wrote its very first chapter. With me and the extra both filled up, I then proceeded south pretty much as far as I could, eventually reaching the climax of my journey. To my left, glimmering under the sun, is the Arabian Sea. To my right is the bright blue Bay of Bengal. And behind me, crashing into the shore, is the mighty Indian Ocean. All of which means that we have finally made it to Kanyakumari. And what a journey it's been to get here. Passing through cities and towns steeped in history, witnessing places of immense natural beauty, and driving on some excellent roads along the way. Kanyakumari means that we're now 3/4 of the way through our epic drive across the nation, which means we've earned a chance to kick back and relax a little bit. Sat there, off the sun-kissed shore of Kanyakumari, is the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. And the story goes that Swami Vivekananda swam from this shore through these crashing waves 500 meters out onto that rock, where he sat for 3 days and nights in solitary contemplation. And this meditation is said to have led to his enlightenment, a moment that would ignite his lifelong dedication to the welfare and service of the people. According to even more ancient lore, that rock is where goddess Kanyakumari, an incarnation of goddess Parvati, sat and performed meditation or tapas in devotion of Lord Shiva. So, in addition to these panoramic views and the fact that this is the southernmost tip of the country, it's also a place of deep historical significance. Having touched our southernmost tip, it was time for me to hand over the reins to our next anchor, but not before ticking one last box. It would be criminal to depart South India without having enjoyed a nice masala dosa, and my final overnight stop in the ancient and storied town of Madurai was the perfect backdrop. I spent the morning driving through the narrow, storied streets of this wonderful city, passing the stunning Meenakshi Amman temple before finally zeroing in on a nice local spot for some filter coffee. All in all, a morning very well spent before getting back on the highway for the final time in the Exter. Alright. Just thought I'd check in with you guys one last time because we're rolling into Bangalore now, which means it's the end of my stint with the Hyundai 4K Extreme Drive. And honestly, what a journey it's been. We started off in Guwahati, where it's the land of tea and it gets dark by about 5 p.m. right now. And we've ended up here in Bengaluru, where coffee is very much king and it's getting darker at a more reasonable hour. Between these two places, it's been more than 4,500 kilometers. We've crossed through 6 states along the way. The language has changed a bunch of times. The landscape, the scenery has changed. The people have changed. But the one thing that's remained a constant through all of it is the way the Exter has just been a champion throughout. That's been the story of leg 3 of the Hyundai 4K Extreme Drive. Next time around, we're gonna have a fresh host and a fresh car, so we're changing things up again. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the little bell icon to be notified first when the next leg drops.